Hi everyone, welcome back again to Apache Kafka series. In the previous video we have started looking into KRaft based Kafka, and we are going to continue in this video on creating KRaft based cluster on GCP. And from what we have seen from the previous video is that this was the kind of proposed architecture or kind of design that will replace Zookeeper-based controllers or Zookeeper-based Kafka cluster. In this case, we have still Kafkas, but these Kafka nodes, the top 3 Kafka nodes, are acting as the Kafka controller. Are acting in place of the Zookeeper. So previously, we normally use Zookeeper here. But now with the KRaft base, we have Kafka nodes that act as controller and they do the job of Zookeeper. So in here we have 3 nodes, and which one of the node would be a leader and the rest of the nodes would be followers. Likewise, and below here we have brokers that they act only as brokers. So they only serve client requests. They have nothing to do with metadata management. But the controllers are the one responsible for the metadata management. So, but in our case, we are going to go with the simpler version of the architecture. The simpler version is the one that you have your broker that act as both controller and broker. And this is the design that we are going to adopt with our GCP design now, in which our nodes or our instances or our Kafka brokers will act as both brokers and controller. So let's go into GCP. I have already created 3 instances, the first, second, and third. You can see them here. And these instances are the ones that we are going to use for this testing, or I can say for this video. So let's go ahead. I have also already the SSH to the instances, and you can see we already have our internal IP addresses and external IP addresses assigned to us. So let's go ahead. And one of the things I have also do beforehand was to download the Kafka library that we are going to use. So if you see here, I have already downloaded Kafka 3.6.0 in each and every instance. So I have downloaded this already. Yes, you can see it. I have downloaded Kafka already. I have also go ahead and add the internal IP addresses, or I map the internal IP addresses of these instances to the host file in the etc host. So let's say, for example, let me just cut one of the files so that you can see what I mean by that. In the host directory, I have added the internal IP addresses and given name to the names that I'm going to use with the Kafka brokers and controllers. So instead of me always going to check for the IP addresses, I can just the KRaft 01, KRaft 02, and so on. So this is one of the things I do in preparation to the video. So maybe if you are interested, you can do that, or you can just use your IP addresses directly. So now let's go ahead and extract the Kafka that we have. Okay, where is our Kafka? Yeah, let's extract the Kafka, and now we have the Kafka extracted. And I'm also going to go ahead and move this Kafka to another place. I'm going to move it to the var lib. I'm going to move the Kafka that I have extracted to the var lib file. Okay, I need a sudo. So yeah, so I have extracted and moved the Kafka directory to the var lib directory. So that is where I'm going to use leave the Kafka there to use as the root directory of the Kafka. Let me do the same for all the nodes. So I'm going to extract the Kafka. After extracting it, then I'm going to move it to the var_lib. Yeah. Yes, also then to the third node, I will also extract. After extracting Kafka, then I will also move it to the same location. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I always forget the sudo command. Yeah, okay, so now I have moved everything there. And the next step we are going to look into, we will explore one of the instance and go into the Kafka directory and see exactly what is inside there. So as I have removed the Kafka directory to the var_lib, then I'm going there now. Var_lib and Kafka. This is our Kafka root directory. And by listing everything, you can see that we have this directory, and normally even previously what we mostly deal with is the configuration files, where you make your changes, you add things, you remove some things, or you change something. So let's also see what is in the config directory actually and what is inside. And as you can see, these are normally files that we are used to, files that we know about. So all files related to standalone, to consumer, to Flink or sync, whatever. So you can see a lot of them. But this is mostly the new thing that was added here. Now we have a directory that is called KRaft. And in this directory, we have our KRaft configuration files. So if I just list the directory, you see we have the broker properties, we have the controller properties, and we have the server properties. And mostly you will be interested in the broker and controller properties if you want to use a separate controllers and separate brokers. But if you want to adapt the simple design that we have here, that your brokers will act as brokers and controllers, then you will do all the changes in your server.property files. So let's open this server.property files and see what is inside, and then maybe make some changes there. So let's go ahead and config KRaft and then the server.property files. So now we are in this file, and what you can see, mostly these are things that we are used to, but number one thing that you have to be aware of, the roles of this broker. In this case, you can see it acts as broker and also as controller. So that is our economic design here. So we are not going to change this, because if you are editing these server files, and you want to adapt this design, then you don't have to change anything in the roles. Then also the node ID. This is our first node, so we are not going to change anything. Then the meat of this video is also the quorum voters. These are the list of your instances or your nodes that you are going to use as controllers that will form a quorum and to be able to communicate with one another. So as you could remember, I used KRaft 1, 2, 3. So this is our first node. In Zookeeper, if you could remember, we also give the IP addresses of the rest of all other Zookeeper's nodes. Like we say server.1, then we give the host, the IP address, and then the ports, both the communication port and the listening port. So likewise, in the voters here, or in the quorum here, we are going to give the list of our controllers that will form a quorum. I have already created a string for this, so let me just copy the string and paste it. So I have created this string already. So you can see I have KRaft 01. I have shown you already that I added the this in the host directory. So we have the KRaft 01, 02, and 03. And this is our first node. So it is the first part, that is 1, is referring to the node ID. So this is the node ID and the port that is going to listen to. Mind you, if you are using local host for testing purpose, then you have to change the port to a different number for each and every instance. Let's say, for example, if your first instance is 93, then your second instance has to be 1994, then your third instance may be 1995. So you have to be aware of this if you are using local host for testing purpose. So let's go ahead. What else are we going to do? The next thing we are going to do also is to give our plain text node here, which is it going to listen to. Instead of the IP addresses, I also prefer to put the I think I will prefer to give the name. This is our first node, so I'm just using KRaft 01. Also in this one, KRaft 01. So let's go down again. What else are we going to change? Also the advertised listener, instead of local host, I will also change it to use the name that I'm using, the KRaft 01. So what's next? Let's go down and see. You don't have to change everything. Some of the things might stay default, and some of them you can change them. For example, let's go down and see what else can we change. Like, okay, this is the log directories. Also, if you could remember with the previous list Zookeeper base, we still have log directories for Kafka where our logs are stored. So if you are using local host for testing purpose, also you might have to maybe change the directory name instead of just leaving it as KRaft combined, because there will be conflict when you try to run 3 nodes or more than 1 node. Then there will be conflict. Either you have to change the directory part, or you have to change the name of the directory. Like here, you can maybe add, who knows, maybe 01 here for your first instance. But for us, because we are having different node, we are not going to change anything. And the number of partitions by default is 1. I will make it 3. These are things that are used when you are creating a topic. So default replication also factor, I would like to make it to 3. And then the logs replication factor also, I will make it 3. And then the minimum in sync replicas, I will make it 3. So I already have 3 nodes that I'm going to deal with. So then next, what do we have? We have some of the things you can, after deploying your Kafka and using it with your application, by then you will know whether you have to change some things or not. So based on your requirement, you can come back to this server.property files and then try to adjust the things according to your needs. So, but for now, this is what we are going to do. And we are going to then save this file. Let's save the file, and then we will continue in the next video editing the rest of the files.